Hello and welcome to Black Amethyst Oracle. This is Carmen. Today I'm offering 3 readings. You may feel drawn to 1, 2, or 3, or none. The subject is attachment and detachment. We find ourselves clinging, holding on to the idea of something, and that something can be someone, but it's ultimately something. So I want to look at what it is we're holding on to, what are we attaching to, why, and inspiration, guidance, messages around how we may let go and release and feel free to allow events to unfold, allow ourselves to be, allow others to be, and find just greater harmony in the flow of life, in our trust in ourselves, in our higher selves. So I have here 3 groups. Beneath each stone, I have 5 animals. I'm going to show you in a still after this, the 5th animal of each group drawn, just to help you sort of vibe out the group. I'm using them to give me an idea what's going on, and we'll see how it unfolds. I'll be using a couple decks. The first group will be using Black Amethyst. The second will be using chiastolite. And the third, carnelian. So perhaps you feel drawn at this point, but take a look at the still coming up and see if it changes your mind or just really affirms your feeling right now. 1, 2, 3. Thanks. So the 5 animals that came for you are otter, heron, wolf, horse, and fox. And while I have my own ideas about each one of these animals up here, these cards are especially helpful. They have some added attributes. So I'm taking all of that into consideration and trying to look at the thing, the idea that you may be attached to, what it is and why. As far as what it is, I will say there is an energy of a beginning, a start, and a motivation that feels to be stalled. Fox being often, the clever, the trickster, this particular fox says stand still and withdraw. And it's here in my questioning, the 3 of Swords is there. So I get this feeling that what it is, the thing, the idea, is that it's something that's weighing heavily on your heart. It's something that has let you down. Something that in the stagnation of it, in the fact that it feels it's going nowhere, is heartbreak. So this, this could be a situation in your life. It could involve a person or not. It has to do with something that you were working on or wanted to start, or that is becoming a bit of a disappointment, or has become a disappointment. I see here with the horse and the fool that you feel probably a great deal of like a bursting heart energy, you know, like this call to run free and to be your wildest self, to feel empowered and to exercise that power and to unleash this glory of yours into the world or onto potentially a situation. So the Fool here backs it up with this feeling of wanting to take the leap into the unknown and being so fearless and being so empowered to go for it. And yet that makes sense why something, if it reached stagnation or you couldn't tell what was going on with it anymore, you know, that it could be a bit of a disappointment. We have here Wolf, and in this particular card it's talking about learning, and it also says difficulty at the beginning here at the top, which I find really interesting. I love this. This is beautiful because, you know, the wolf to me is so often about following your instincts and community and tribe. But here it's talking about learning and teacher and you know, education and difficulty at the beginning, and then backed up here with the Empress. It feels like this is an idea or a situation that is just having trouble getting off the ground, you know, not going how you expected. And with the Empress here, again, just this feeling of you having all this energy and all this power and all this heart just overflowing, all this beautiful, the Empress, the creative energy, the giving, loving energy. So it could be, like I said, two-way situation with a person or not, where your overflowing love in your heart is just pouring into what, you know, this is what you may be feeling. The heron here, self-examination, review, consideration. This is where you may be having to really kind of exercise some patience and stand still. This is stand still and take a look at yourself, what's motivating you, whether or not, you know, you're moving forward the way you want to, what are you getting from this situation, all of that. The Seven of Swords here for this is talking about, you know, it's always about deceit. You know, the Seven of Swords has such a sneaky, dishonest secret, you know. Oh, it's one of my least favorite cards, but it's got this like shady energy, right? So I think that, you know, this is speaking to me about you sort of like, whoa, you know, like looking like, was I lying to myself? You know, did I believe wrong? Was I being real about the situation? And then for otter, they have mothering, which is beautiful because I always think of otters as playful and friends. That's the standard kind of symbolism of the otter. And this card is, they have put mothering, they've put the cauldron, which is the nourishment and the feminine and the compassion and the tending to. And it's wonderful. And for to be enforced here with the Popess and the Step, which is the High Priestess, there's a real feeling here of your deepest care, your deepest love. It's true and it's sincere, and it's where you derive your nourishment, and there's a lot of intuition there, that this is an area that, you know, may help you recognize this problem. So like, or this issue or this idea that you're attached to. You may be attached to ideas of how to nourish yourself and instinctually, intuitively, you know, moving toward things that feel like comfort, things that feel right, things that feel supportive, and you know, so for that to sort of not be moving or not be taking off the way you expected, or to have hit a pause or a wall or some sort of stagnation here, then yes, of course, this is feeling like some heartbreak, right? I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna go another row with these cards, and just take it a little bit deeper as to why. Because that was sort of me trying to help you identify if this feels like something that could be what you're attaching to. I'm just going to take this deck another row and look at more about why. Okay. We have the Emperor. Magician. You have a lot of majors so far. Three of Cups. Interesting, Three of Cups. I don't want to talk before I get all the cards out, but Three of Cups is often, you know, friendship and community, and that's what I feel in the Wolf too. So this, you know, this may be a broader attachment issue that spans your sort of sense of belonging. Oh my goodness, okay. Temperance. This is an astounding amount of majors. Could you imagine if I had those long fake nails and I was trying to do this? Am I shading? Maybe. Six Pentacles. Okay. Let me dive in here a little bit more. With regard to this idea that your attachment, you know, the idea that of this attachment having to do with your deep sense of self and nourishment is what I feel, because it's connected to your intuition and your instincts and your sort of inner compass and your sense of self, really, like knowing who you are, this feeling of knowing who you are, and what it is that brings you a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. The Emperor is showing up. And so as to why this is relevant in your attachment is there's a control issue, quite simply. Emperor speaking so much to me about control lately. It often speaks to me about showing up, I say. So it's like you may be feeling like, or maybe this is what we're getting here, is that you showing up for yourself, I just got this feeling like, because no one else will. Like there's this feeling like, if I don't do it, no one will. I have to do this. I have to take charge. Like there's a real desire in you, it feels like. Your attachment to this idea and this situation having to do with this desire in you to feed your soul and to follow your instincts and to be who you really believe yourself to be, present that to the world. And then regarding the, you know, the pause and the patience and the questioning whether or not you were wrong about yourself, wrong about the situation, wrong about what it is you need. We have the Magician. So, this is just speaking to me about you not, not really not really taking into account right now that you're not wrong about those things. Like, you cannot be wrong about who you are. It's just, it's just a matter of perspective. And we can all have a day when we see ourselves one way, and then another day we see ourselves and, we can be down on ourselves, and we can lift our own selves up, and it's all perspective, and it's all a mood, and so much involved here. And this is just telling me that it's a matter of questioning your power rather than who you are. So if that makes any sense to you, regarding the having all this love and creativity to offer others, who, this desire to have a sort of a real exchange going on between you and the world around you. We have the Three of Cups, and it's a pure and genuine feeling. And the part of the reason you are attached to this feeling is because it's a good feeling, and there's nothing odd about that. We do want to belong. It is normal to want to belong and to contribute and to express. So part of your attachment here to the thing, the idea, or the person, has to do with, this genuine, completely valid feeling of wanting to belong and contribute and have good times, have a good life, a positive outlook, positive, optimistic attitude that you would like to have. Regarding your power and all this beautiful pent-up energy that I feel here, this desire to start something and to make something, to manifest and to have this magic. It is, why? It's because you feel on some level that it would be healing, not only for yourself, but for others, I believe. So that feels like not a bad reason to be attached. I will just go ahead, since that's the last major that I got, address the fact that there are all these majors: the High Priestess, the Empress, the Fool, the Emperor, the Magician, and Temperance. I just want to say, as for what it is, having the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Fool, that's so much beautiful creation energy. That's so much beautiful beginning and fertility, That's instinct and beauty and this real desire to create is what I get. And then for the Emperor, Magician, and Temperance to be here on the Y, this is, again, there's magic in all three. The Emperor being more of a control and a desire to show up and manifest. The Magician, absolutely speaking of creating and bringing and manifesting forward. And the Temperance is absolutely, it's alchemy. It's creating from different parts something new, and it's balance and it's healing. And so there's, just for these 6 majors to show up here, whatever this is that you're attached to, you're not misguided in your feeling and your draw to this idea, whether it's, again, like a situation or even a relationship with a person or people. There does feel to be more of an endeavor vibe here, but I do believe that this could apply to a specific relationship. You don't have to bend it too hard. I know I'm speaking more of in general terms, though, because I want to intentionally keep it that way. Do what you will. So where were we? Temperance. I want to say here, the Six of Pentacles under the standstill and the, you know, the heartbreak around this sort of pause and this stagnation where things don't feel like they're moving. Like why isn't my clever mind, you know, blooming and catching and reproducing, and why isn't everyone, you know, throwing bouquets of this thing that I, you know, have offered from my energy and my heart. And you're, you know, this attachment to this feeling and this heartbreak, again, is totally valid. It has to do with wanting reciprocity, wanting exchange, wanting to contribute, and wanting to be able to get something, you know, wanting to give and receive. You want to be in the flow. This is all very good. This is not you being unhealthily attached in my examination of everything that's on the table here. So I do have another deck that I want to bring out to try to look at, you know, how to, it was meant to be how to detach, but I don't think that you necessarily need to detach completely from this. It feels like a very heartfelt, genuine, something that you hold on to, something that you're holding very dearly and close to yourself. And I don't think it's hurting you. I think what's hurting you is that it's not moving and it's not, you know, working how you expected necessarily or seemingly at all. And I, you know, in one way this is very general, and in another it feels very specific. And I do have some other cards, some oracles off to the side that I kind of wanted to wait to pull in, but I think I'll go ahead before we get into the second tarot portion, which is only minors. I pulled the majors out because this is clearly a big turning point in your life. This is a destiny point. With all these majors, you know, with the minors being your free will and the majors being kind of more destined action and like place you are type stuff, you are certainly within this situation and idea and this attachment to it. You are holding on to something that is a big part of your life's journey. So that's why I'm saying I don't think you necessarily have to detach. So what we'll look at is how you may flow better with it, receive more with it, like work with it better. You know, let's just see what we get. But the cards that I wanted to show you that I wasn't sure how or when is I used a Black Moon Astrology, and I decided intentionally to take, as I cut the deck and I went through until I got a zodiac sign. This deck has some other astrological stuff, but I really just wanted to get right to the vibe of one sign. And what I got was Aries, which is about I am. This is also related to the Ace of Wands, which is that decided action, that new beginning and sort of inspired move, which really feels like what has happened here. This horse, speaking of a move, you know, and where was it? There was a difficulty at the beginning, which was an interesting thing to pop out on a wolf card. And it just feels like there was a beginning. This is Ace, Aries I am, speaking of a beginning. But also the I am factor telling me that quite possibly, where can I put this? Quite possibly what is making you feel so attached here could be related to your sense of self, what I actually am, what I am. I am this thing. I am it. This is what I am. And if it doesn't work, then I am not anything. You know what I mean? So that may or may not resonate. And then I have 2 runes with animals as well that I wanted to get for you. And these are interesting too. This one is the Fehu, which is related to abundance and fertility and luck. And it is a beginning card, and it speaks of that luck and and prosperity in a way. And it speaks of an energy. So it is in many ways an Ace of Wands, just like that Aries card is. So it's very interesting to me. And this is a squirrel with a nut in it. So that there's while there's Ace of Wands energy, because it's a beginning and it's like an action, there's also a very Pentacles energy here. Nuts being more like pentacles, and also, or an acorn, I should say. And also the second rune was Uruz, which is here with the bull, which is about the physical body and health and such. So there's definitely also an element of pentacles here, and having the physical and something to hold on, but it's also about your own personal endurance and your temple, your body as a temple. So sort of like, I guess the feeling that I'm getting here is you want to be sure that whatever this is isn't affecting your health to a negative degree. You want to make sure you're taking care of your physical body and, you know, remaining primed to create and to draw in. So, you know, those are just a little bit extra, which may or may not come out more. I wasn't even sure I was going to show them. They just were giving me a feeling about what was going on here. And so I decided to bring them out because they, to me, feel appropriate. This issue, this situation, this attachment of yours being very closely related to or dependent on this idea of who you are at the core, at your essence. Like, and for right here, like this instinctive nourishment, you know, and power and desire to show up for yourself and to show up in the world and to be, you know, to be something, to be someone. Yowza. I know I'm talking crazy. I've already come to the conclusion that the only people who listen to me can follow, so whatever. Won't be much longer now. Okay, so this question is more about how to, I was gonna say detach, but I don't believe that you need to detach from this idea. I think your idea is right on. I think it is truly something deep in you. But I want to get messages about how to make it work better for you, how to make this situation or idea, how to loosen your grip a bit in order to make room for adjustments. Let me just do this now. Sorry for all this adjustment. Okay. This is a Four of Moons, which is actually cups. Oh, I think I can just set it there. Look at what I've done. That's fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, so Four of Cups. Three of Cups. The Mistress, the Queen. Hold on. So sorry. Where are they? What the fuck? Why is this so difficult to find out? Okay, Master, Mistress, Knight, Lady. There we go. Sorry about that. It's the Queen. Artemis. Nice. Artemis. I love Artemis. She's the goddess of the wild and the hunt. That's so beautiful here under Empress and Wolf. Jeez. Okay. Queen. Queen of trees or wands. Queen of wands. Can we just be excited that I translated this deck? I rarely use this deck because it's they've really changed everything. They changed the suits, they changed the courts, they changed the majors. It's complicated, but I love it. It's beautiful. It's just so much work. Okay. Eight of Wands. And the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go. Oof. Four of Cups. How can you work with this aspect of your attachment, or your to this idea and this situation better? This nourishment, this thing that fuels you, this thing that feels like so much a part of who you actually are. You're wanting to show up and present yourself for who you truly are. And there's the Four of Cups. So there is an element of detachment in this sector. And I think that it speaks to this I Am Aries card. I think the message here is you have to realize that the way you show up and the way you feed your soul are not actually the reflection of what you are. They are the way you do, There's a difference. These are, you may have attached it too tightly to your sense of self and this deep need that you have to be this nurturing person, and you feel like that's your identity, and you want to present yourself in such that way. And this Four of Cups, the detachment card, if there is one, showing up here says this is the area that you need to loosen up the most in, and it's your concept of what you're presenting and how it reflects in who you are. That it is not who you are, it's how you are doing it. And so there's a difference. How you're doing it is you're giving of yourself and you're trying to feed your soul. And that's okay. That's great. That's fantastic. It's beautiful. But you cannot attach that to your sense of being. You cannot attach the reception or the any sort of up, downs that come with it, or any lulls, these standstills, the stagnation. These are not indicators that you are not this powerful person. You know what I mean? These are not who you are. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Three of Cups here under how you can work with this feeling of wondering if you're even this powerful, wondering if you can do this magic. Have you been wrong about who you are? And this Three of Cups, Three of Moons, is telling me that you need to remember and take into account all the memories you have of people embracing you, of the support you've had, because surely you've had some support somewhere. And I mean, this could be just the random, you know, thought of somebody who's in your life who has just always been there for you or always supported you. But I just feel the need to bring up, you know, I've been thinking a lot about my grandmother who raised me. And because she's a Scorpio and it's currently Scorpio time, and she just died a couple months ago, and I don't know, she's heavy in my mind. This woman believed in me like nobody ever would or will. And it came from this nourishing place, and it came from her own need to give. You know, this is very similar to I feel that, you know, a reading like this could apply to a woman like her, you know, someone who was just giving and giving and trying so hard to show up in this way. So anyway, the point being, I think that you have to feel your connection to and remember that even if not everybody is on board or sees you for your beauty or your ingenious, you know, unique offerings, or that which makes you you for real, not this self concept of who you are, but this actual force that you are. You know, there are people, you have had friends, even if they're no longer friends, even if you never knew them well, whatever it is, surely you've received some sort of nudge, and you have to kind of focus on the fact that you have been accepted before, you have been seen, and maybe not here and now by somebody. Like if this is a relationship type of thing, you know, I would say that here, this would apply in such a way that it is like, you may not, like, you know, this person that you're attached to, for example, may not, may have made you question yourself, but you have to remember they're not the only person, and there are other people who have absolutely loved you for who you are, you know? So that's just, I'm just trying to help help myself make sense. Okay. Queen of Wands and Artemis. Under the Empress and this wolf. Okay, so this is speaking to me about you not only being, you know, having all this to share and having all this to teach and to lend, that you're just truly, this backs up that you do have to remain connected to your power, which is, I think, what started all of this. And it's something just feels like a setback. You have to remember, you know, Artemis being the goddess of the hunt and things wild, you have to remember that instinct of who you are, and, you know, eyes on the prize, and what it is that you want, and what your vision is, and what it is you want to manifest. The Queen of Wands being very, very powerful, very attractive in you know, both senses of the word here, like manifesting, attracting, magnetizing, you know, that which you want to bring into light and being, but also just generally attractive, like a wowza, you know, like this is a person who, with the Empress here, it makes so much sense, like has a lot of creativity and beauty on their side. This is you with that. And so I would say, if you are a woman, definitely check out that Women Who Run with the Wolves book, and remember to keep your awakened feminine archetype, your awakened wild, you know, hold that dearly, for sure. And if you're not a woman, check in with that. Like, check in with your own feminine side, and that powerful feminine side. Like, this is not just this is, you know, the Empress is more like Venus, which is like love and beauty and creativity and everything, and that's all fine and good, but Artemis is getting shit done. And so you have to kind of like, don't let the fire of your dreams and your ambition and your sense of knowing be dimmed by any sort of temporary setback circumstance. Like, it is temporary, because this is who you are. You have not been wrong. You are, you know, that this question over here, like, you know, about whether, you know, what you are and how you do it, this is more how you're doing it. And this is this feeling of like, that it reflects like who you are negatively, like that failure or stagnation is some sort of reflection on who you are. And this is me saying, you know, this inner voice and this instinct and this drive deep within, this creative energy is indeed a huge part of you. And then the Eight of Wands showing up under your energy, your power, your, you know, your ambition, your desire to just go off into the unknown and allow things and allow for healing and to bring things into balance. And, you know, this is saying to keep going. This is just movement, and this is change. So I would say, with regard to this being an attachment, there is an element here with the Eight of Wands to sort of allow for change, because things will move and change. And remember, nothing is ever static. You know, everything is always changing. Everything is always moving. So even if you feel stuck, you just keep going. You keep pushing. That's what this says. It's movement, it's constant, and it's quick. And it's like, you know, you can slow down. And I don't believe that this is saying that you have to act fast. I'm saying it says keep moving. And I think in relation to this bull here, on the Urus card, you also have to keep moving your body, because it's just, when we're inside too much of ourselves and getting caught up and getting wrapped up and getting kind of spun out, the best way to soothe that and work with that will be to move the body in whatever way makes you happy, whether it's just dancing, walking, going to the gym, sex. Keep moving. And then sorry, sorry, that's a friend of mine. Never mind, whatever. So then, with regard to, you know, how to work with this feeling over here, this heavy heart around things not moving, this deep desire for, you know, this disappointment around things not being reciprocal. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Sorry, hold on, I need coffee. Okay. Nine of Pentacles is it's really self-care, and it's taking alone time, and it's also just there's a lot about just kind of cleaning up your house. And I do mean literally, like, I do mean, is it time to get your space in order and make sure that it's suiting you and fulfilling your kind of, will you feel better if you kind of reorganize some things around the home? And there is a body feeling here, and to have it here beside this bull and this very Pentacles energy as it is, I would say it's also, what did I say? Cleaning up your house. It's your sense of being, your sense of self, your sense of output that needs a sort of like just a cleanse, just like a good wash, a good purification, a good saging, you know, like you just need to kind of like reset And this may require taking some alone time, or just really sitting back and analyzing your purpose here. Like, what's your ultimate goal? And I think you've probably spent a lot of time thinking about your ultimate goal. There's a lot of depth here. This is not a shallow person in these cards that I'm seeing. So you probably spend a lot of time thinking about, I mean, you have, especially with this Heron, with self-examination and learning going on, like there's definitely a feeling of, you know, you want to make sure you're being true to yourself, make sure you're emitting what you're meant to, and all of that. But I guess this Nine of Crystals, Pentacles, is really just speaking about during any kind of standstill and disappointment or heartbreak around this situation where you really just want reciprocity and to give and receive and to be a part of the flow. It's okay to just like step out, reset, possibly take whatever you consider and can manage to be a vacation, and just take a break. Like, allow for a break. You can come back to this thing. As long as we're alive, we can come back to the thing, you know? Give yourself, like, ease up. Like, that's the feeling that this advice is, you know? Like, take care of your body, take care of your mind, take care of your soul, and this standstill is a reset period for you to do that. So that is what I'm getting for this group. I didn't know going in what it would be like, but feels right. Please let me know. Not that I remember these much afterward. I'll try. I'm going to take a break in between readings, and I meant to mention that in the beginning, that the layouts may change because I'm going to take some time in between, and I may not remember exactly how I did things, but we'll see. Maybe I will. Okay, so there you go, group one. Just hang in and take care of yourself, and your attachment here is not reading to me like a negative thing. It's just a matter of a little bit of a perspective shift, and stop being so hard on yourself is really the actual like gist of everything. Like, your attachment to this thing is that you're letting it tell you who you are, but it's not who you are. It's just how you're doing things, and who you are, you do know that. That's not in question. So I hope that made sense. Okay, thanks. Okay, so please excuse the glare. I don't really have a way to change that right now. I don't think turning the light on would help me. Let's see. Does that make it worse? I can't quite tell. Definitely puts a new glare. I don't know what's more important. Well, anyway, there you see the animals that showed up for your reading about your attachment. We have Wolverine, Raven, Eagle, Hawk, and Swan. I'm going to turn the overhead back off, though. Okay. So I just want to say, I obviously, or maybe not so obviously, I haven't done the third group yet. But compared to the first, this one, you know, you may notice you have 4 birds, 3 of them big, you know, winged skybirds that are known to be messengers and known to be spiritually connected. So what I want to say off the bat is I do get a feeling of a real imminent change, a really more urgent message here. This matter, this attachment, the consideration of detachment, all of this being a bit more of a driven message than maybe the first reading was. So that's the kind of information I give, just if you're skipping around looking for what feels right, or maybe you're being hit by different issues in different readings. These could certainly address 3 or more different situations in any one individual. I'm feeling quite certain. This issue of attachment, for people who are going to connect here with the chiastolite being a big time protection stone, by the way, grounding and protection, I would say this has a lot to do with a total rebirth, a real, you may even feel it coming, like just a real end and new beginning coming for you. Something very in your plan, you know, like not in your divine, if you will, plan. This is I'm going to get into these, but you know, on the first row here, I'm asking about what the attachment is about. And here, the majors that are showing up here are the Fool and Death, which, you know, the Fool being this beginning and Death being this ending and transformation. That just really echoes the vibe of what I felt these bird messengers are bringing, and some other oracles, which I will show you at some point here soon, but that I have to the side that have been giving me some guidance. But let's just start on the top here, because we have, and I'll say, like I said in the last reading, these animals to me personally, they may have different attributes and symbolism. They may more widely in various studies have other meanings, but these cards in particular have written a lot of words on them, which I have found to kind of venture away from a lot of the standard meanings and feelings, but also ringing accurate, you know. So it's nice to use this deck. I'm not sure if I've used it before on the channel. I don't think a lot, but anyway. So with the Wolverine, we have persistence, and it's tenacity and willpower, right? And to me, this is feeling like a resistance, actually. It's talking about, to me, more of a sort of a stubborn hold and an attachment to what you know and what you believe and how things you feel are supposed to be. And here we have magic for Raven. We're talking about a shift of being and alchemy. And this is definitely just showing up as a process that's really out of your hands, out of our control. It's something that you know, you're just going through in the evolution of your being here. And I'm very sorry. Eagle here on this card is talking about freedom. Eagle, while it does have a lot of other things, a lot of other qualities symbolically, I'm going with it because it feels like, okay, so there's spirit, honor, liberation are more sort of positively expressed attributes, whereas victimizing, subjugating, and repression, I had to read those upside down, are on the flip side, you know, when this is out of whack or whatever. So this is speaking to me about more that a little bit of a victim mentality and a bit of feeling trapped, a bit of feeling lack, and there's also an element of feeling like not getting what you deserve, you know. And you know, these attachments throughout the readings are attachments to an idea, but an idea can be a person. You know, an attachment to a person is ultimately an attachment to an idea of what they are to you and what that relationship is to you. So, you know, I don't want you to have to bend anything too drastically, but it is somewhat flexible if things just kind of fit a certain way to something that you're feeling yourself through the things I'm saying. But it does, I will say, although there may be a person, a relationship involved in this attachment, it largely feels, when it comes down to it at the end of everything, it is in you. You know, any transformation that you're going through is you going from one phase or stage or state to the next. It's not dependent upon or even necessarily is certainly not reliant upon anyone else's place, you know, within your life. It can be a trigger, but ultimately you're the person who goes through these things. You know, we're born alone, we die alone. You're the one going through these changes. It's your life. Everybody has their own. It's a sovereign state, you know, it's yours, and your experience is yours, and someone else's experience is theirs. And we have to kind of separate ourselves from sometimes we get attached to wanting someone or something that is not ours to have. You know what I mean? Like it's like in true unconditional love, there is what you really want is your own best and someone else's own best. But I'll stop with that because this doesn't feel largely relationship based, but I'm like I'm saying, if anything, it could be a trigger. Love certainly triggers us into change. So here with the hawk, they have a messenger, which yes, the hawk is a messenger. But to take it a step further, they've written splitting apart up here, and language, understanding, and perception. Perception for sure, perspective. Eagle is also perspective. And, you know, this is an unraveled feeling. Like this to me is kind of circling the prey and missing the mark kind of feeling right now. Like something is trying to tell you, something is there for you to be holding, to be getting, but it's kind of being missed in your attachment to something else. Like your attachment to something bigger is preventing possibly you from getting a message from spirit, is what I feel here. And then grace, swan, surrender, transcendent, trust. You know, swan, always about reflection to me. Sometimes they say it's about soulmates and stuff, but if we just look at it as simply grace, I would read this as I have to pull in my own swan, the reflection, and I feel that there may be a call for your own kind of humility, basically, like a certain grace and acceptance and trust and surrender, as it says, around the way things are versus how you believe them to be. That's a big piece here. Let me go on to this first row. I'm very sorry about my phlegm. I just ate a ton of garlic, so that probably was good for me, but not immediately good for you. So, like I said, I don't know. The Fool here under persistence is talking to me about, you know, as far as what the attachment is, what the idea is. There's something here that you're wanting to how do I say, like it's how you see your future. It's how you believe it should unfold. There's something about the way you're you're seeing, and this stubborn sort of attachment to the way that's supposed to look and the way that's supposed to go. Whereas the Fool, you know, is unknown, and it's really wanting, when the Fool is talking about really wanting to set off on a journey, and the Wolverine here talking about this persistence and this willpower, I think that is there. But what I'm getting here is that in the element of why this is, what this attachment is, it feels to me like I said, just the stubborn idea of how it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to go, what it looks like, and your idea of that, and thinking that you know that with little room for to be wrong, like, you know what I mean, like just not wanting to be incorrect about how you envision it. And that's an understandable thing that we do. But the purpose of this reading is to take a look at that attachment and learn how to kind of like loosen up a little, let go a little, and kind of get the best out of that part of us. Okay. It'll make hopefully more sense as I bring in more cards. The Two of Pentacles under the Raven, when we're talking about magic, if this Raven card, as it says on here, alchemy, shift of being, transfigure, so beautiful. The Two of Pentacles is absolutely about balance and doing many things, and certainly an alchemy, you know, and how, speaking to like how the Two of Pentacles is how you're doing it, how you're managing it, how you're multitasking, and whether or not, again, there's room for a real shift within. Like you may be trying to shift things around you. You may be trying to change this to that, or you may be trying to juggle this and that, balance these things out. However, are you exercising so much control that you're not leaving room for this to be something that isn't this that you think? Or, you know what I mean? Like, are you allowing for your own self to be the change is kind of this feeling. Like I said, this should all make more sense as we get farther down, but I'd like to get to the sense of what I felt here with this freedom and this eagle as it relates to the King of Cups. The King of Cups really just, when I saw that, it really hit with that eagle. And it just think, there's so much in you that desires to be free that is feeling repressed. There's so much emotion that I feel is being repressed here. And it might be that, you know, around this attachment to this idea, whatever it is, that you're not admitting how much it's affecting you, how much you feel restricted by the way things are going, or how much your own vision of how this goes is affecting you emotionally and weighing on your heart, this, you know, as something that that is keeping you from really soaring, from really being, you know, meeting your destiny and living out your full, truest purpose, or at least, at the very least, in finding some sense of, you know, freedom in what it is that you're doing and how you're living. Like something about the way you're seeing everything unfold before you feels a bit weighed down by, emotionally, by what is not being allowed to be free here. Like the movement itself, the change isn't allowed. Like you may be exercising a bit too much control, in to the point where you're hurting your own self by not allowing your belief system to shatter, essentially. And then with death under messenger hawk, my goodness, I was speaking here about this like message that wants to get through to you that isn't getting there because you're like blocking it, you're resistant, you're too focused on this and how you think it's supposed to be. And then to have the death card show up here, it's like, yeah, you're just really, it just feels like you're really avoiding or missing a deeper message about a change that is coming. But I do feel that you probably feel it in your bones. Like you may feel it on some subterranean level that you are about to face changes, and maybe you're afraid of endings, the endings of what you know to be true or have always believed, having to start over, like this Fool says, having to throw away all that work, you know, with the persistence and the Wolverine. That makes a lot of sense to me because it's hard to just scrap everything and start completely over. But I don't think that that's ever what any of us is doing. So hopefully this reading will help with those sorts of feelings as we move along. And then when we're talking about grace, the swan, trusting, Three of Wands is the, you know, looking at the bigger picture and planning and expansion and manifestation. So when you're looking at yourself, it seems to me you're looking at what you've always seen as the road before you. What you've had a very stubborn vision of what that would be, of how things were meant to unfold, how they would unfold, and how all of your work would pay off. And with not really looking at your reflection with clarity and with humility, you're failing to see that the future and all its plan, you know, what is that saying about plans? I'm not going to say it because I don't want it, but like that, you know, plans, like, you know, like sometimes things just don't turn out like you think they're going to. And here there's just this feeling that you're really attached to some idea about what you believe, that, and the way you've seen things, the way you've seen the outcome, the way you've seen the journey, that you're not allowing for that vision to evolve and change, quite honestly, is what I'm getting here. So, all that said, and I feel like I'm talking about such a deep subject, such a weird, complicated topic that it may not even be listenable, but I don't care anymore. I really don't. I'm gonna do what I'm doing, and the people that want it can have it, and the people that don't have to take it. All right, I'm going another row, and I'm going to look a little bit more at why. You know, this first row was telling me more about what is going on, what kind of attachment we're dealing with. And because it's general, it's, you know, it's pretty wide, but I you know, it sounds like it has a lot to do with a stubborn vision and an inflexibility around change, and so stubborn that a message about this transformation and this new beginning and this ending, a denial of an ending, a denial of letting go, a resistance. Something I said, you know, when I told you about this hawk circling and missing the mark, like I feel like the message isn't getting through. That's the feeling that I got. And then the death card showed up, and there's something about an ending that you're not accepting, that you're not getting. And hopefully we can get a little bit more about why on this next row, these sorts of, why these things are going on. Again, so sorry for my condition. Must be terrible. Ace of Cups. Nine of Swords. Seven of Swords. Five of Swords. Ten of Pentacles. Okay. So a little bit more about why here. Why this attachment is happening the way it is. Ace of Cups over here, a beginning, with the Fool being a beginning, and this persistence, this willpower, this very stubborn tenacity toward getting what you want. This is telling me, as far as why, it just has to do with your great love for it, you know? Like, you have a great deal of passion and a great deal of, like I said, love and heart, and you have felt probably a great deal of intuition about this thing, you know, that you're attached to. So naturally, you're going to be stubborn about it. You're going to be stuck in your ways about it and persistent about it, naturally. I mean, it makes perfect sense. As far as why you may be inflexible here with your magic, it's Nine of Swords. Now, see, we have some heavy cards down here, and I was hoping to get some answers around why some of this, because I think that's the best way to be helpful. If the Nine of Swords is, you know, oh goodness, worry and being overwhelmed and just this dark energy and this very mentally exhausted kind of energy around what I feel, I believe I was talking about, like, you wanting to, you know, you seeing things going this way, you know, you do it this way, and you manage things the way you do, and you have a certain balance that you believe is what it takes, and you're kind of stuck on that, kind of stubborn about it. But like, this Nine of Swords is saying this isn't working. The reason you're so attached is because I believe there's a great deal of fear in letting go of control of the magic part, which is like the reason it is the magic part, the reason it is the alchemy and the unfolding and the shiftings and the changes we go through that we don't control. It's just a part of growth. It's something that we just do. We don't have to understand so much. I just feel a real sense of fear around letting go of that control, of feeling like it's out of your hands, and giving and surrendering to the idea that you will be okay, and that magic can even happen if you pull back. If you don't do it, who will? Well, it will happen. It's just, something will happen, and you feel like in order to hold things together, you know, you have to stay involved and stay on task, where, you know, you feel like if you don't, nothing good can happen. Only complete disaster, only complete, you know, all your worst nightmares will happen if you're not working constantly to bring the magic in. But it's like, part of the magic is letting it be. There was a story, a children's book, well, sort of a children's book by Neil Gaiman. It's Odd and the Frost Giants, and there was a quote from it that I used in a little wooden sculpture that I made, and it says, magic is being things be what they want to be, you know, and letting things do what they want to do. And that can be very difficult and daunting to trust that anything good could happen if you aren't actively working on it. Sometimes, you know, things are not in our hands. So when we're talking about here, when I was saying there's this feeling of repressing the amount of emotion involved here, like that you feel more stuck, like you're not even willing to admit how stuck this attachment actually makes you. You just got the Seven of Swords, which just really repeats that idea of being dishonest with yourself, of avoiding the responsibility of facing the truth here, and the your own heart, and you know, if you're holding your own heart in your own hands, you know, how gentle are you being? Like, you're not protecting your own heart by trying to convince yourself that things are a certain way and a different way than they really are. Like, there's this element of not being honest with yourself here about how much you're hurting yourself and how stuck it's actually making you to be so resistant to change, to be so afraid of change. And, you know, that change here with this Death card and this Hawk Messenger, Five of Swords, is as far as why, a Five of Swords for why, this is about, you know, just because you can't lose, you can't be wrong. You have to you believe you're avoiding struggle by avoiding the change. You don't want to face the conflict and the struggle and the difficulty involved in letting go and letting things end, letting things fall away. That discomfort is something you're trying to avoid here. So you may be actively hiding from this messenger, hiding from this hawk. You know, when I said the hawk can't get the message to you, you just don't want to hear it. So that, I'm just saying, that's what this says. As far as looking at yourself and looking at your future and seeing, you know, the future you're seeing here, like I said, there's without looking at the possibility and looking with humility down the road, that, you know, is surrendering and trusting that things will unfold. Instead, you're believing that you're the one who creates that future, and you're the one who paves that path all alone, all by yourself, by all your work with this Two of Pentacles, and all your persistence with this Wolverine, and all your denial and your unwillingness to change. I can see how an unwillingness to change would be like, no, I'm staying the course. I'm staying the course. This is my vision. I'm going to see it through, and, you know, be damned anything that tries to get in the way. But here, the Ten of Pentacles, as for why, ooh, I don't even, you know, like, Ten of Pentacles is security and abundance and fulfillment and success. So why? This is almost a question for you. Why would you be afraid of success if it were not your own self-worth in question? Like, when you look at the future, say this Three of Wands, and you look ahead and you think it's supposed to look a certain way, and you're looking as that, you're looking through that lens of how you envision everything going down. And you are instead not seeing, you know, who you really are. You're just seeing your plan and what you believe. Then I'm saying what I see here is, with this 10 of Pentacles, security and success. Some aversion to security and success. And it sounds so wild. Like, what a crazy thing. Like, who would be working this hard on something but not actually want the success? And the reason would be self-worth issues. It would be because deep down, in some level, some very deep layer inside of you, you're worried about your ability to bring all this. You act like you believe it, but you don't. And that's deep, and that's like core wounding stuff. This is stuff, you know, if you ever look around at other people and you're like, they really have it together, they seem so confident, they have it going on, and then you're like, I'm gonna have it going on, I'm gonna echo that confidence, and I'm gonna get it together. But if you're not coming from a place of foundational security, it's going to be harder. And I don't know about you, but that message just hit me on a level. Let me keep going. Wow. You know, I'm just going through it like everybody. I don't know any more than anybody else. I'm just using these cards to hear from my higher self, who knows more than I know on this level. So it is what it is, and it's not what it's not, so take what you need. Yes, I have a system, don't I? Okay. So, let's see. Your only majors are the Fool and Death. Absolutely a reading about beginnings and endings and re-beginnings. Beginning, ending, renewal. Okay? Now I'm going to bring out the oracles I had to the side. I didn't know... I had these before I showed you the intro, but I didn't know if I would actually use them. I just was using them personally as a tool about what all this was saying. And I have I know, the Aquarius energy of I know what I believe. And we have, from the runes, we have Berkano with a rabbit. Berkano being about birth, fertility, life changes, and among other things. And then we have Hagalas, which has the scorpion on it, which, you know, do I even need to say, is about endings and beginnings and transformation and radical change. So here we have, you know, this fertility and this idea of big life changes, and here we have changes too. And then with the I know of, you know, this Aquarian energy, it really does speak on a level of what you believe, what you've told yourself, what you've accepted to be the truth and the way forward and the way things are supposed to go. All right. I'm going to slide these up just a little more. Okay. I brought up those are your majors because that's the influence of your pivot point in life right now. This is all minors. I've pulled the majors out. This is your free will. This is stuff you actually can do, because the next layer is about how to work with the energy that we've talked about up here, how to work with that attachment, how to detach, how to release, how to loosen the grip and make this element work in our favor instead of against us. Eight of Cups. Is that there? A Nine of Trees or Pentacles. Oh, no, not Pentacles. Wands. Sorry. Wow. This is a Seven of Metals in this deck, which is Swords, right beneath the Seven of Swords. Interesting. Oh, beautiful. Ace of Swords. Last card about this. Ah, beautiful. Artemis, Mistress of Trees, the Queen of Wands. That was in the last reading. That's why I had a little giggle. I will always be happy to see the Queen of Wands show up. That's the tattoo I have on my face is from that. And Artemis, yes, okay. Forte, all right. So, all right, let me get in here and try to help you see what you might be able to do to work with the energy we're speaking of. Over here with the stubbornness and the tenacity, depending on how you look at it, you know, we said it's, of course you have that because it's attached to your heart. It's attached to your love, you know. Of course you're persistent. Of course you're dedicated. Of course you're working hard at it, and you're you know, a warrior about it, right? The Eight of Cups here is talking about, in order to, you know, how to release some of that attachment. It's actually going to be, it's actually just a shift. It's a shift. It's a walking away from the way you've prioritized your ethic here, your work ethic, or turning your back on that level of persistence. It almost sounds like bad advice, right? Like to be like, stop working so hard, stop trying so hard. You know, you're like, but this is what I want. This is my journey, and in my heart this is my heart. It can be your heart, and it can be your journey, and you can work hard and be persistent. But in the easing up here is what we're talking about. If your grip is so tight and you're working so hard, you're overextending, maybe overspending of your energy, then the advice here for, you know, for how to deal with this aspect of the attachment is to kind of like turn away from so much this stubborn hold, this stubborn approach, this stuck kind of only my way, only this way attitude, you know. It shouldn't, you know, I could say it's easier said than done, but I don't think that it is that difficult once you become aware of it. It's a matter of, you know, the Eight of Cups often speaks of priorities and prioritizing something about, you know, looking at your priorities, okay? So if you're investing and over-investing and overly stuck and stubborn and set in this one way, perhaps it's time to reevaluate this approach, is what I feel. As far as trying to manage everything and trying to control everything and to balance everything, and to, you know, and this fear of anything happening at all if you don't do it yourself. You have beneath a 9 of Swords, you have a 9 of Wands. You know, the 9 of Swords is that fear, but the 9 of Wands is that courage. It's that inner courage. It's the strength and the stamina and the standing your ground, you know, the warrior. So, excuse me. Excuse me. So rather than, you know, draw from a well of fear and, you know, multitasking and trying to manage everything because you're afraid it'll fall apart if you don't, you have to do so, you know, do your management and your multitasking and your coordination from a place of like a knowing strength. Like, okay, like a willingness to say, this works and this doesn't work. Focus here and let this slide, you know? Whereas if you were, you know, this has to work this way and this has to work this way before, then now we're looking at, you know, a way to work with this energy would be to say, okay, this is working well. Let me focus on this and just put this away. It doesn't have to all be happening at once. It doesn't have to all, you know, it's like if you follow a recipe from a cookbook or something, and you're like, you know, your teaspoons are like perfectly flush with the top of the spoon and everything is perfect and it's supposed to turn out perfectly because you followed the recipe to perfection and such concise perfection or whatever, precise with such precision. That's what I was looking for. But instead, you know, I want you to, you know, I don't know how familiar you are with cooking, but I'll just bring into this. A long time ago, I had gone off on my own and I called one of my grandmothers and I wanted to know how she made her cornbread. I'm from the South and this is not like any cornbread I've found anywhere. It was insane and delicious. And I wanted to get her recipe. And talking to her on the phone, she's like, oh, I don't know. She was trying to tell me like what she did. She didn't follow a recipe. She just knew it and she threw it together by her instinct and trusting her, you know, herself and her knowledge of how to cook and how to bake and how things work, you know? And that is where we are here. You know, if that analogy will work for you. Like, you have to rely less upon the precision and the fear of failure and more upon what you actually just know, and just relax enough to go with what you know, and the things you don't know, allow those to grow from external, internal, like influences, whatever it takes. Allow all of that information to be what it is in whatever quantity or quality it is, but you can only do what you know, you know, and try not to be trying to control everything from a place of fear instead. Like, the whole world is not going to fall apart and go to shit, and your whole life isn't going to, if one piece of what you're doing isn't perfection, you know? And perfection is relative. So then here with the this part where I said you're not being honest with yourself about how much is weighing on you, how much is actually hurting you and making you actually just stuck and stagnant, you know, from the way that you're doing this and this attachment. And, you know, you just got a repeat of a 7 of Swords. It's simply, you know, you're not being honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. So that's all this message is. It's be honest with yourself about the fact that your mentality and your perspective, Eagle is often about perspective, and is holding you in a place of what was the word I was using with the like a blocked emotion, you know, like you're holding on to. Do you ever feel like a dam about to burst, but you just won't let it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I want to cry and I just can't. Like, that's how I feel about you here. That there's this underlying pain and trapped feeling that is not being released because you're just like, nope, like a complete denial. Like, it's just like, no. And even if you're not on the surface doing that, like, you really genuinely want to, you know, it's somewhere in you that is preventing you from releasing all of that emotion. And it has to do with, I believe, just all of this control that you feel you have to exercise, and all of this, you know, this work ethic that you feel like it's all in your own hands and you're the only one because it's your plan and it's your vision. And then here with the, you know, like missing the message from the hawk, wanting to avoid being wrong, wanting to avoid the, you know, the pain of an ending, the messiness of letting go and something ending or something falling apart or giving up on something. That messiness, you know. This Ace of Swords is talking about clarity and truth, and it's really just the ability to take action here. It's like you have to decide that you can see this happening to yourself, that you can see the way you're blocking or avoiding an ending, the way you're not letting go of something very specifically because you don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel the way that feels, to let yourself down, to give up, to not succeed, to fail. You're so worried about that you're just like, nope, not gonna go through that yet. Just putting off the grief of it in a sense. Once you are ready to be honest with yourself and be clear that, and see with clarity that you're not receiving the message that it's time for something to go and something to end. This is the clarity and the action point, you know, for you to be able to be like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go through this. I'm gonna let something go, and with everything I let go, something new can come in. With every door that I close, a new door will open, you know, or several with choices. It's all very, you know, cliche meme stuff, but it's true because I see it here. The message being missed about the change and the ending that is necessary because you don't want to feel it, and the clarity on how to deal with this is the clarity itself. And then with regard to your reflection and your, you know, being able to surrender, being able to deal with the truth of, you know, the way you've seen things, and this, like I said, this was a big hit, the 10 of Pentacles, that truth and that possibility that somewhere deep inside you, on a foundational level, you question your own worth. So even though you put off this hardworking, confident, got it all under control, strong and not gonna break and not gonna feel and not gonna lose at any cost kind of vibe, like you can hold that up and hold it up, but it's not serving you. Here with the Queen of Wands is taking the power. It's becoming just passionately dedicated to doing what is absolutely best for yourself, and recognizing in all the truth what that is, and you know, not lying to yourself about it, and seeing things clearly, and not being afraid, and admitting those things to yourself. And in that is strength, in the release of this grip on the way it's had to be in your mind, you know, what you know to be. And this, if we go back over here to this this fertility and this beginnings and these life changes, like if you can look at it like that, like that maybe you don't know like every fucking thing. Like maybe, you know, you can be empowered by that fact, you know? And Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. So I'm picturing her, you know, they've got the archery here. And it's always, if you think of like Hunger Games or anybody with the bow and arrow type thing, it's so, especially with women using them, like when we see like Jennifer Lawrence doing it, or you know, whoever, you know, it's so graceful, like the swan, you know, it's so graceful and yet so, I mean, it's an arrow, and if you get it where you want it to land, what a force. Like it's so different from like a bullet from a gun, you know? It feels like there's so much more manifested effort behind. It's not just pulling a trigger. Like what you have to do to aim in archery is so very much more full body, you know? I mean, no offense to shooting guns. I love shooting guns, but like that, I'm just saying, if you can think about that, that sort of hunter vision, you know, that eyes on the goal, you know, and just really adjusting your own form and in grace, and in realizing, you know, this 10 of Pentacles, you know, like realizing that you have to heal deep worth issues inside, like self-worth issues inside, in order to be this more brilliant manifester, and in order to make all these things happen. So yeah, that's what I get. And wow, this one's long as hell, and I hope you took something away from it. This one felt a little bit harsh. This is one of those readings where I feel like I'm being harsh, and I'm just saying what I see. And it's not like I know who you are right now and I'm calling you out. If it feels right to you, then, you know, that's fantastic, and I want you to take it, and you're probably not going to be offended by me. If you don't, if this hasn't felt right to you, I'm not sure why anyone would still be listening and then be mad at me. So, you know, I do worry that I come off as harsh, but it's because I'm kind of detached myself emotionally in order to just read this. But I did feel this, and I do feel that is a huge element here. Like you feel like you have to hold everything together or it'll fall apart. And I think the overall message here is, if that's what you believe, make room for the possibility that you're not right about that. As harsh as that sounds, gosh, no wonder nobody likes me, right? Yeah, all right, thank you. All right. Okay. So group 3, the carnelian, you had the jaguar up here, but you also have buffalo, which is bison. Drives me crazy that they say buffalo. Rabbit, moth, cicada. This is meant to talk to me a little bit about, kind of give me a feeling about what your attachment may be, what it's concerning, what's the theme of this attachment that you may have. And this first row of tarot cards is to help further explain what is going on, what it's about. So I'll just kind of just start left to right and just go with this. I will say the first 2 readings, you know, I went into this not really knowing what was going to come out, and they've been really interesting. And I'll be honest, I expected more love, relationship type stuff to be very apparent. And so far it's not. It doesn't mean that you can't apply these or feel that these are applying to a relationship situation. Because when I think of attachments, I think one of the easiest things we do attach to is people. So, and that could be any kind of people, but love relationships are super easy to attach to and and I just see across YouTube so much holding on to those. So I just expected some to be really prevalent, and all three of these readings have been what I really want them to be, is more self-focused, more personal growth, you know? So, you know, you can use the messages if they fit in various situations in your life, but I will be speaking in a pretty broad, general terminology here. But for the bison, bison being so much about prosperity, but I see it as a spiritual abundance, and they've written abundance on this card, and life force, so that makes sense. But Six of Pentacles here. So there's something here, you know, just here at the beginning to suggest that there may be for you an attachment to basically your the way that you're grounded, and the way that you, like, it's almost like it's a very stable, it's very earthy, very Pentacles kind of thing, like this material possessions type stuff too, like this very great attachment to the way you feel about the flow of basically money, the way you feel about it, you know, like that could apply to so many people differently, but it seems to be affecting your life in such a way that there's a message coming through. And as we get through the Rose of Tarot, it should all become much more clear. But certainly Six of Pentacles under a bison, very much about feelings, having this attachment that we're going to be looking at, having something to do with your probably deep-seated stance and feelings around the exchange of value, you know, giving what you're getting in whatever respect. Rabbit here, they've written fear and totality on the card, and you have the Three of Wands here, which is suggesting to me that you may have fear around, you know, your long-term vision, you know, like there's something about the way you envision the future that's fear-provoking. And there's something about your attachment, as far as how this relates to your attachment, there's something about the way you plan. Apologies, I had to stop because I'm finishing this third reading with a child in the house, so I really am sorry. I made a conscious effort to put a lot of space and time in between the readings today. Normally I would just kind of try to get through all three in one sitting so that I could post. But today I wanted to give some time in between and come into each one fresh. So yeah, here we are with the something about the way you look ahead and plan, and your idea of expanding and the way you envision your future is, like I said, fear-provoking. Like there's something about it that's anxiety-inducing. So we have to kind of dive into that a little bit. Then here we have Moth, which they've put on here pursuit, but it's also intuition, instinct, and insight. You know, if you think about, well, it doesn't matter. The moth to the flame concept, you know, like going toward the light, and then there's a lot involved, but basically like attached to the Eight of Cups here, and speaking on attachment, like some issue that may be present for you. There's something in your manner of pursuit, which is very curious because that's really what this Three of Wands is about, when sort of like the envisioning of the future, and this is the pursuit, you know, the way you're going about moving forward and going toward your goals, etc. There's something in this Eight of Cups that's suggesting to me that oh my goodness, it feels to me like it feels distracted. It feels like there's a distraction from the pursuit. It could be coming from every which way. We'll look more into that as well. Eight of Cups can also signify a bit of a detachment, or and I mean, I realize part of this reading is about attachment, detachment, but I mean like just an almost sadness, a melancholic kind of accepting, kind of a gloom. There's a gloom, I'll say. So there's sort of this gloom over your method of pursuit, it feels like. And it could be, I mean, you know, take it as it resonates, but this could be just a tendency for sadness and melancholy, or just even like bouts of depression and something standing in your way, moving forward, possibly repeatedly, I feel. It could even be physical health, you know, like a lower vibration on physical health, you know. Physical is very present here with this bison, I will say. So that's certainly a possibility. And then we have the cicada talking about timing, rhythms, flow. There's a great deal of timing involved and purpose involved with the, you know, it's very intentional timing. It's very destined timing too. But the cicada, you know, this creature who has quite the mission in life and is in no rush, you know, they kind of, there's such a weird timing element with cicadas. The way they, you know, there's the one kind of cicada that's underground for like 17 years. And it's like amazing to me how they all come out at the same time. And like, what a crazy design nature is to have something like this. But in here though, you know, regarding the flow and the rhythms of just life, I think for you, there may be something in the way you look at timing, the way you regard timing, the way you feel about it, or your attachment to ideas about timing. And with the Two of Swords here, it's sort of, it's kind of like an undecided feeling, you know, like it's like you're not really sure if you believe that things will come in timing, or, you know, you're sure that things will come in timing. Like there's something around your feelings about, you have this undecided kind of vibe around how you feel about synchronicity and timing. Like sometimes you may be like, oh, everything happens, there's no such thing as coincidence, and I saw this and then this happened and it's all synchronized, and like, yes, I'm on schedule. And then there's this, I think there may be this other part of you that is like, this is all crazy, out of whack, nothing is anything, and I have no idea, like I'm just like floating in space, you know, like it's the feeling of being torn between feeling like there is destiny in order and feeling like nothing is anything, like this very just loose, just sort of almost kind of lost feeling, is what I'm getting, you know. And then the jaguar here is integrity, and it says healing, correction, justice, and work on what has been spoiled. On the flip side, decay, dishonesty, and blame. That's kind of a lot of information. But with regard to the issue of something you may be attached to, something that may be sort of holding you still or stuck or back, and having the Knight of Swords here to help me understand this Jaguar's presence, I would say there's something that you feel that you need to express, and it comes from a very genuine and honest place. And I feel that it can be it can feel for you like the thing that keeps you from ultimate fulfillment, you know, like this fact that you communicate honestly and you have all this integrity, and you look around you in a world where in a world full of people who are just, you know, I don't know about you, but I mean, even today, I'm going to go off on a thing for a sec. I saw this post on Instagram of it was a picture of Lisa Bonet. It was up close of her face, and she's a beautiful woman. She's one of the most beautiful women, right? And like, she's older than I am, and she has wrinkles. And I wanted to see the comments because I was just so curious, and I kind of wish I didn't. But yeah, like all these people, I'm assuming kids, young people. When I say kids, I mean younger than me. And they were saying the shittiest, nastiest things about how old she looked and how bad she looked and how all that money and she wasn't getting anything done. So this is the kind of weird example that I have for you here. It's just that, you know, if you're looking around and you're like, does integrity even matter in this world? Like, you see people getting by on, you know, sheer superficial, you know, people who didn't have to work, people who didn't, you know, I mean, I don't want to cast any shade. I don't really give a shit, but like, sometimes I think about how the Kardashians are all so mega rich, and this literally all started with Kim's sex tape. You know, it started with that, and I know there's been a lot of work put in, and I'm not trying to rag on them. I don't give a shit, but it's amazing to me how people can enjoy or feel fulfilled by what looks like success, you know, for the most part, at least compared to many others on earth. It can be just earned through whatever. It's kind of like, if I put all this effort in and I put all this diligent, you know, work in, and I move toward my goals, and I am determined and you know, really going for it, and I bring all my honor, and I'm a true knight about it, and I'm like fighting for the right, you know, the right thing and the cause and the light. Like, it may be kind of discouraging, I think, to feel these conflicts around what works and what matters. I don't know. I will say all three of the readings, I feel like I'm talking about things that are sounding a lot like my personal grievances that I've been sharing with you all lately. So you probably pick up on that too if you're someone who's around me. But I assure you, we're connected for a reason. So I feel if I'm getting it here, it's certainly not meant for you know, just me. Like, I do plenty of my own personal readings. I talk with cards to my team all the time. So let me get into another row where I can get a little deeper, looking at why. Because the first round is really kind of like identifying what's going on and what's being picked up here, what's happening, what's the attachment itself, what's the effect that it has. So next we can look at kind of like why these elements are the way they are, Okay. Oh my goodness. I do love this deck, but I wish they printed them on different cardstock. Jeez, man. It's so flimsy. Let me just... Okay. We have a Two of Cups. Ace of Swords. Oh my goodness. Magician. Emperor. Justice. Wow. Those last three majors, big energy, right? Okay. Let's go here to, you know, I said there's something about the element of you feeling a certain attachment to the exchange of energy, the exchange of the value of exchange. To have the Two of Cups show up, I mean, the first thing I thought was, oh, okay, maybe there is some relationship stuff in here. There's, with the Two of Cups, there's also, we often think of this as like a soul bond, you know, like a love connection type of thing. And that is true. And it could be related to something like that. All of this could, I'm sure. But it's also about giving and receiving. It's about sharing the two cups, you know, between the two of you. It's like, what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. Like this sort of beautiful sharing, you know, and the depth and something kindred. So for here, why this may be a hang up for you around, or something that you're attached to, and why it may be relevant to us today in this reading, is telling me that it's just really reinforcing how important it is to you to connect with the people you're expending energy between, you know, like how when you really bring it down, like maybe you're someone who prefers to support small businesses, or someone, you know, the mom and pop shop or whatever it is. Like there's something involved with the intimacy of the exchange that matters to you. And, you know, I don't want to talk too much about my own shit, but like, I feel like if you, like I said, if you've been following, it's similar to what I have been trying to say about myself, like how much I would rather have genuine connections with people. I'd rather be sharing my energy and receiving energy from others in places that are, you know, have integrity and such than anything else, you know. So, you know, there will be a row to discuss kind of like how to handle this aspect, but I don't really see a problem here personally. But there is an attachment that you have, around this part of giving and receiving, and the types of connections that you make to make those exchanges, the value involved, and what it is worth to you. So here with I was talking about something about the way you envision the future, the way you plan is a little bit anxiety inducing. This could be anything from poor money management to abandoned plans to failed attempts to any sort of injury around, to your psyche around making things happen and being able to do that. And for the Ace of Swords here as clarity, I get the feeling that this is something you're aware of, like that, you have the awareness, you understand the way you move, the way you work, you understand your own mentality in so many ways, and you see how it makes you fearful or anxious. You see how the way you are planning your future isn't necessarily working all the time, and then as for something about the way you're pursuing and the way you're moving and doing, and this idea of something that just brings you down in that arena, something that is just that feels like setbacks, or something that feels like disappointment, abandonment, something that feels like just a downer, like something about the way you prioritize, like other things distracting you. We have the Magician coming in. And so this is saying to me that on a level, you do understand that you have awesome power and you have a great functionality and an ability to create and manifest and go toward your goals. You do know that. So that's why it hangs you up, something about the way it's going, or facing blocks or downs. And like I said, there's this feeling here that some of it just has to do with drained energy, like down energy, like sadness, blues, just not feeling up for it, like just kind of withdrawing and not being able to tackle the pursuit, just feeling a little disappointed, really. But and I think that knowing that you have all this power is almost overwhelming. That's what I'm getting. That it's almost this this weird, like, too much ability, like not really knowing what to do with it all, like feeling like you could go any which way and then just not going anyway. If you picture we'll just go with a moth flickering around a flame, like, I need to go to this light. I want to go to this light. Why do I need to go to this light so bad? Like, if I go to that light, I'm probably going to burn up and die. Like just this weird, like hesitation. And then this, like, I don't have to go to this light. I could fly off in the dark and go find some clothes in a closet or something. Like, I don't know. That was terrible. I just feel like there's this weird, there's this attachment to the way you go about things, and it exhausting you. if that makes sense. And the way you know you can go after anything and that overwhelming you. I mean, I hope that makes sense. This is a difficult one to explain. But when I saw the magician with the moth, it just really felt right to me. So I really hope I'm explaining it well. I don't know. Okay. Anything that doesn't make sense, I hope it does by the end. So with this timing and this kind of like not this sort of vacillation between believing in one thing and believing something else, we have the Emperor. Like, you really, I think, want to believe one way or the other. Like, you feel like you might feel like life would be a lot easier if you just believed one or the other. Like, either it's destiny or I'm making it all happen. You know, like, can it be both? Like, how can it be both? Like, Emperor wants to control everything, you know, like, just sort of like just have it all figured out. And it seems like here it's a matter of not attachment, like, but the inability to really be attached to a belief about how this all works, how everything works. And it comes from a really great place because we are humans, and it's an agnostic kind of feeling. It's around faith and belief, so it's heavy, but there's certainly also here the idea, this is what I get, there's also this feeling of not being able to control the timing, which can just, like I said back here with the overwhelming, it can be a bit overwhelming to feel like you can put in work toward something that you want or something that you are trying to heal, or, you know, whatever this may be, and feel that your work is not all in your hands, like that the results are not all in your hands. It's not something that you can ultimately just make happen now, you know. It's just there's outside elements and forces that are factors and that affect, you know, outcomes. And I think that's where you're, you know, going back and forth about not being sure what you really believe about how all this works comes from, because it's like, well, I can believe and cast a spell and you know, believe and wish mighty hard and work super hard or whatever, but, you know, is it timing or is it just up to outer forces? Like, there's just a whole lot of a hang up around not being sure what to believe. And I think I already know what the answer to this is going to be, but I'll keep going. Well, I mean, I think it's just that you don't have to have an answer. You don't, you know, we'll get to it. So with the integrity and, you know, this honor and this feeling of like wanting to always do, you know, what is right and to move with honor and valor. Here we have justice. Perfect. It literally says justice on this card, literally. So yeah, it's very much ethical. It's very much about staying true to your own soul and your own heart and your own being. So, you know, there's certainly, it makes a lot of sense why this would be showing up as something that's significant. And as far as how you can best work with having that kind of spirit and in this like emphasis on healed, healthy, ethical presence and work, how you can come to terms with moving through a world that doesn't always value all of that, you know? Okay, so before I get into the next row of tarot, which I'll be using a different deck for, I would like to bring out these other oracles that I had previously. We have Taurus, I have. And we have these rune cards with animals. We have a bat with Isa. Isa is very much about, oh gosh, it's about like stillness and stability. Like just, it's very Hanged Man, you know? It's very just pause and get a different perspective, you know? And then we have Laguz. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but this one's about flow and the unconscious. It's actually about fate and dreams as well, which I feel the way these may relate to the other cards, I feel that ultimately all of this amounts to what you feel you have. What you feel you have, like when we were talking about this bison up here and the abundance and prosperity, not just what you have physically, materialistically, and certainly including that. I very much see that. But also what you have to offer, what questioning, you know, what you have, the value and the worth of what you have to exchange, certainly coming through. And then the standstill here with the bat and then the pausing, you know, that really kind of resonates for me with being hung up by anxiety, and here with the Eight of Cups, like sort of a sadness and a feeling down, kind of blue, kind of like, it's almost like, I don't want to say self-pity at all, but it feels like here something in the way you do what you do leaves you feeling a bit depleted. It makes you question whether or not you're on the right path a lot, you know, and this overwhelming feeling here. So both of these especially are giving me that bat vibe and that Isa vibe of the importance of trying to get different perspective and allowing through pause and almost practically hibernation to allow for some sort of, on some level, for you to be able to get answers you need. But I'm really hoping we get more solid answers in the next row, which is going to be about how, you know. And yeah, the flow here with the fate and the memory, with the Laguz and the unconscious. There's certainly a spiritual element here, with the timing question and the faith in what you believe and what you can manifest. There's certainly a connectedness here that's, you know, what you feel is valuable, I saw, and that feels like it's related to this like flow, you know. This, did I see flow somewhere? Maybe it wasn't on these cards. I thought one of these, oh yes, oh wow, okay, the cicada has flow on it, and that's Laguz also is flow. So certainly, like I said, this spiritual, you know, rhythm thing that as an attachment has to do with your, I won't say inability, but hesitance or reluctance to kind of just jump, you know, headfirst into just all out believing anything. And I don't think I'm ever going to tell anybody they have to believe anything. But let's just see what else I can get. And in this deck, I've taken out the majors. This is just the free will deck. This is your free will. I didn't feel like majors needed to come up here. And I have wanted to focus on what majors did come up in each reading. The first reading had a ton of majors, and they were all they went together really well in the way that they did, if you're called to that. And then the second had 2 that were also highly significant to that scenario. And these 3, honestly, the Magician, the Emperor, and Justice, you know, the ability to make things happen, the desire to control how things are, and yet wanting to do the right thing. So there's like this energy of you needing to do something and wanting to do something, but wanting it to be a certain way, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm a Taurus, and Tauruses are famous for believing their way is the right way. So there's certainly a feeling of that across here, and like really not wanting to compromise. My stepdad's a Taurus, and he used to say, you know what my motto is? If it feels good, do it. Which sounds kind of gross, but like really it's just, you know, it wasn't about hurting other people. It's like, let everybody do what they want. Just let me do what I want. You know, it's very free, actually. It's a very like, you know, don't get in my way and I won't get in yours kind of vibe. So anyway, I don't know where that came from and why I'm telling you. So here I'm going to look at how to work with this part, this piece of the puzzle around your attachments. Okay. How to deal with this bison and the exchange and the connections. Oh, I was going to move all these up. And it's the 10 of Pentacles. Very pentacly, told ya. This bison, 6 of Pentacles, earthy, Taurusy. Oh, let me go through and do these real quick. Thank you for bearing with me in my weird layout problems. You could say I'm really attached to this. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. How to deal with this fear, anxiety induced by long-term planning. We have a 3 of Pentacles. No, those aren't Pentacles. They're Wands. Fucking A, man. People change things and I get all thrown. I'm very sorry. That's not Pentacles. And sure enough, I was like, look, it's Pentacles. It's earthy. It's trees. But Wands. Okay. That might actually make more sense for me as far as like the energy, because I was kind of like, oh, what? And then 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands. All right. Pardon me. Okay, and on to the way you do what you do, and the way you may be overwhelming your own self. 3 of Cups. The this lost feeling, this flow, lack of control, lack of understanding, timing. Ten of Swords. Excuse me. And wanting to do things with all your beautiful integrity. It's the Knight of Pentacles. There's that Pentacles. All right. Okay. Oh. All right. Back to the start. This makes more sense because I was kind of like 10 of Pentacles, even though the Pentacles made sense to show up because it felt earthy, you know. I was like, how is that a solution? Like, go for the success and everyone else be damned. Like, I wasn't so sure, but you know, as far as like needing your connections to matter, needing your exchange and your, you know, your value to be mutual, like wanting to feel like you get what you give in your flow of abundance, probably, we have the Ten of Wands. So this is a heavy burden, basically, is what the Ten of Wands is talks about. It's like not being able to say no, and putting others in front of yourself. This is a very, it's like a selfless, and it's like being responsible for other people kind of vibe. It does create weight and burden and difficulty. So I would, you know, I would say, based on this feeling here, that you're not wrong to want your connections and your exchange to be to matter, and to be to have depth, and to be quality over quantity. That is, I'm never going to say that's wrong. But what I'm getting here, and what I have to acknowledge, and maybe it's for me to acknowledge as well, maybe I'm very attached to this, and you probably already know I am. Maybe this does put a bit of weight and a burden on you. It does limit your success. It does limit your ability. And maybe you're a little hard on yourself, or a little hard on everybody else, possibly, when it comes to the reality of flow, and of giving and receiving. And if you want to experience success and fulfillment and abundance, if you want to share your beautiful life force more freely and more effectively, it may be in order that you, it's going to sound crazy, but you may have to be a little more selfish. You may have to look at things just a little bit differently. Let go of this idea a little bit, loosen up the grip on this idea a little bit, that it can only be, you know, this one way. Like, you can only operate with just the highest, I don't want to say that, because I mean, I believe it too. Like, you want to operate with the best quality and the best, you know, but I guess, I mean, maybe you know what I'm trying to say. It just has to do with this putting an enormous amount of unrealistic burden and weight on your endeavor if you're not willing to open up more to a greater flow and a wider wider expanse. Why does it pain me so much to say that? You know, I think you know why. All right. So this Three of Wands showing up, repeating itself here with the around this something that I think you already understand about your, the way you plan and envision the future being a bit anxiety inducing and fear provoking in you. The guidance here that I'm getting is that you you have to just move in that awareness of yourself. Like, know that this is how you it's like a trap you set for yourself, that you do have to plan, and you do have to have a vision, and you need to hold on to a vision, but don't let like maybe adjust the way you're seeing and the way you're planning to whatever adjustments you need to make, so that that method isn't freaking you the fuck out, like for example, if you feel like you have to put everything, your whole self, all your eggs in one basket, and that's how you envision getting success or whatever, I think the suggestion here is to review that view, like reassess that view, look again, plan differently, try a new way of planning, with the awareness in mind that you sort of, like I said, set your own traps and overload your own self and put yourself in this position of feeling like you can't win, you can't, that if you can't beat them, join them feeling. There's a little bit of that here, to be honest. And again, I'm not telling everybody. I would never be the one to tell anybody to jump into a rat race, but I think this is about that kind of vibe of that frenzy of trying to compete with others and move with others, and how, like, what does success look like? What does your fulfillment look like? What does your own future look like? Like, all this is very like, wah, like daunting. So yeah, there's got to be a shift in the vision, in the envisioning, and there's got to be a shift in the way you see the big picture, and the things that you long to do can remain the same, but the way you look at it, the parts of the way you look at it that are creating upset for you need to be reviewed. And that's so broad sounding, but I guess if you're with me now, you know what it is you're talking about, what it is for you, and maybe that makes more sense in context. So here with the way you do it, this is the way you see it, and this is the way you do it. The way you're doing it, kind of wearing you down and overwhelming you. And then we have a 3 of Cups. This is just very simply telling me that don't forget to just take care of your soul on this level of, don't forget to do things you enjoy outside of any of this. Don't forget to lean on friends. Don't pull yourself away, even if you want to, with this 8 of Cups energy. Even if you feel a bit out of sorts and overwhelmed and exhausted by your plans and your endeavors and pursuits or whatever, allow and leave and create space for ways to appreciate the work you do, ways to be commended on the work you do. Leave room for that. Leave leave a little energy for something completely outside of all of this, where you are having fun and potentially allowing for new collaborations to take some of the weight off of you, to potentially try to see your vision through with the help of others. Possibly that could work for some people and not for everyone. And then here with this, this whole not being sure if you believe this or that and wanting to control, but leaving you questioning whether or not you have any control, like just this reluctance to release to divine timing or inspiration, or to just natural rhythms and flows, like this feeling of, I really feel like it's between feeling like you create it versus being humble enough to know that, it's a bigger thing than you. So it makes a ton of sense to me, and it's wild, the guidance. When I saw it, I was like, oh, you would say that. This is a feisty solutions row. There's a lot of like cold, hard, tough love on this row. And like this 10 of Wands is one, and this 10 of Swords is the other. This 10 of Swords is saying, stop it. It's like, stop worrying about it. It's like, stop feeling like it has to be one way or the other. And this is a major area where you have to, when I say stop it, this is a detachment zone. This is where an attachment is for you in this reading and all of this stuff, and wherever it applies in your life. This is the biggest place I'm seeing where work needs to be done. And, with the 10 of Swords being the end of something, the need for a new start. Like, it's actually, it's uselessness, it's like, this is done, stop, And so to me, it speaks of, you don't have to choose what you believe. You don't at all have to believe it's this way or that way, but more so that you have to allow it to just be. It's very zen, and yet this is a very forceful solution, because it feels to me like it's more tearing you up and disrupting your natural flow and your ability to move through and have what you need and have what you deserve, because you go back and forth, your energy is going back and forth on the matter of whether or not you're doing it or it's being done to you, if that makes sense. So if you can, end this back and forth and just accept, like I said, it's very agnostic. Like, maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way, and I'm okay with either way. I just know I am looking at, cutting down my overwhelm and anxiety around moving forward in life. I'm looking at how I think and feel about the future and plan. I'm looking at how I move toward the future. I'm looking at these two on the ends. I'm looking at the value of the work, the value of the energy exchange, and I'm looking at my integrity and honor, and these things are important to me, and I have to align them in the way I move and the way I believe. But on this overarching subject of whether or not it's in my hands or out of my hands or meant to be, this meant to be question is, maybe there's no way of knowing. Maybe you don't get to control this knowing. Maybe there is no decision. It just is, right? And that's what I think this is a big speaker about, the Lagus, It's, while it does speak of fate and dreams and this, ethereal kind of otherness, it's very much about this flow and this, this flow and the rhythm of allowing things to unfold. without having to name them all. And then lastly here, the Knight of Crystals is Pentacles. I got it this time. This deck is crazy because they changed all the suits, they changed all the court cards, and they changed all of the majors. So it's very complex, and I don't use it often in videos because I haven't gotten them all down because I obviously forgot. So, okay, but I do like them. I like them a ton. Like I love the way they feel. I love the imagery. So over here with this need to move with integrity and do the right thing, this real honorable path that you want to be on and are on. Knight of Pentacles, speaking of absolutely moving that way. And this is just an affirmation that you are being productive in moving toward anything in this way. Just in the care alone of in the honor and the integrity alone of acknowledging those things, you are on one hand healing. You know, that is a healing vibe, to give a shit about integrity and to care about what you say and do and how you move, like to want it to be fair, to want it to be ethical, to want to do the right thing by yourself and by others. So this night to me is just, like I said, more of an affirmation to just keep moving this way. This is an attachment part of you that you don't need to let go of. It is a good attachment. It is a pure soul element of who you are and your being, and that's really wonderful. It's really wonderful. So I think, you know, to recap, on both ends we're seeing something really wonderful, and you know, keep moving this way. And when it comes to your flow of abundance over here, and this sort of you know, like this feeling of wanting to get what you give. You do want to get what you give, you know, but perhaps all this depth, there's just, to me, it didn't feel, maybe it'll hit me later, you know, but the feeling I'm honestly getting, it makes me uncomfortable. So it's obviously a trigger for me, but it has to do with, you know, releasing a little bit of that burden for everything, to releasing a little bit of that attachment to everything being so, you know, it should be pure and honorable, but does it have to always only be, if you only are interacting with the purest of others, you're really cutting the work and the exposure down considerably, you know, because let's be honest, you know, this world. So yeah, and then here, like we said, the way you see the future, just look at it, just re-envision it, just take a different look. You seem to be, I believe, aware of the way you plan and move that provokes anxiety in you. And as far as the way you actually go after your goals and dreams being a bit overwhelming, you know, lighten the burden yourself. Be, you know, you have a 3 and a 3 of wands, 3 of cups. You have these are solutions in these sort of hang-ups, you know, that are this attachment to these ideas. And this is that, you know, allow for goodness to come in, allow for collaboration in places where that's a thing in your situation. It may or may not be in your situation, but more importantly, allow for like the good nature healing of having lightness and good times. And this, to me, I did feel a little depression with this 8 of Cups, and just it seems to be coming from, you know, we've got anxiety here and depression here. Those go hand in hand. The reason we have anxiety is because we cannot control everything or depression often comes from that anxiety of not being able to control everything. So yeah, that's just a message. I learned that in therapy a long time ago. So yeah, and then this was that hard one, you know, that big time hit that I got, that you have to fully close out this need to understand how everything works and to have an answer for the timing element of things and the flow of things, and to just actually just be in it. So I hope this was helpful. I do feel like I rambled a ton, but I would imagine that anyone that made it here to this point in the video must have connected in some way. So that makes me happy to say thank you very much, and I hope it was helpful. Certainly give me feedback. Not that I'll remember all 3 of these readings today, that's for sure. They were big and deep, like I told you they would be. All right.